Hey everybody, this is my Raw review for last night now, Monday Night Raw, where it was Viewers' Choice Night, and it was the second week in a row that Raw went 3 hours. Second week Raw went 3 hours, and it was Viewers' Choice, basically the Raw equivalent. Basically it's Taboo Tuesday / Cyber Sunday, now reduced to a 3-hour edition of Raw. And you get to vote for your matches, for the opponents and the stipulations by texting on your phone or going to WWE.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I could say this. I'm not trying to really bash this whole concept of letting the fans vote on what happens, but seriously, do you think WWE is going to allow the fans to really decide on the outcomes, the stipulations, and the how should I put it, the opponents? Do you really think WWE is going to do that? Hell no. Here's why. Now, we started out Raw with CM Punk coming out saying he wants to be cleared #1 contender. Well, the anonymous GM says, fine, I was going to do it, but since you're causing a stir and a disruption and wasting time, instead you're going to have to earn your spot in a triple threat co-main event. In a co-main event of the night, triple threat #1 contenders match against Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio. Okay, so after that, we get our first Viewers' Choice match of the night. It's Brie Bella defending the title against either Eve, Kelly, or Beth Phoenix. And who gets the votes? None other than Kelly. Now, you would think, if you're a true women's wrestling fan, you'd think, well, they should have gone with the better choice. But let's face facts. On a fan's perspective, Kelly is very popular. The fans like her. She's very likable with the fans. On the WWE side of things, they've been wanting to push her to the stratosphere. So Kelly gets this push, and believe it or not, ta-da! Kelly is the new Divas champion. But how long will her title reign last? That is the question. Hopefully we'll find out in the next few weeks. So yeah, Kelly, first Viewers' Choice match of the night, becomes the Divas champion. Alright, next match of the night. If I can look at my results here for a second. Because I did record it, I did watch it, I just can't remember in order what matches took place and when. Oh yeah, Evan Bourne. Evan Bourne comes out for the next Viewers' Choice match. Now you think, if they truly want to give the power to the people, that they would allow the people to have what they want. The opponent for Evan Bourne that they feel would give Evan Bourne a great match and give them a great match. So here were your choices. Swagger, who Bourne beat at Capital Punishment. Mason Ryan from the New Nexus. Or Sin Cara, the new high-flying sensation, which everybody would love to see against Evan Bourne. So, where's the direction that it goes? Who gets the vote? You guessed it, Mason Ryan. That's right, Mason Ryan gets the vote. Fans did not like this, and this right here, as impressive as Mason Ryan can be, I should say, this tells you that WWE had a lot of influence on the voting. Because the fans were booing the heck out of this, because they knew, hell, this isn't what we wanted. We specifically voted for Sin Cara, or some would say we specifically voted for Jack Swagger. Instead, they end up getting Mason Ryan. Why? Because WWE does prove once and for all it has influence on its shows, and it's damn sure not going to let the fans or the people have total control. So Mason Ryan basically gets chosen to face Evan Bourne in a squash, in which he squashes Evan Bourne, wins the match, and thus he gets pushed further. But again, this just proves to me and anybody else out there watching this that WWE's viewer choice deal, when it comes to something like that, is a load of BS. Because if they truly gave the power to the people, it would have been Sin Cara. Next up, we have Mark Henry versus Kane in an arm wrestling contest. Apparently, they're pushing Mark Henry now on the SmackDown side of things. The arm wrestling contest starts out like a traditional arm wrestling contest, but then Mark Henry gets himself disqualified by punching Kane in the face. Kane tries to fight back a little bit, fails, and ends up getting the same treatment that the Big Show did at Capital Punishment, drilled through an announce table by the world's strongest slam by Mark Henry. Henry goes on to tell the medical officials and the security people there, the officials there, basically, hey, let Kane suffer like I've suffered my whole career. So basically, sounds like they're doing something similar with Mark Henry on SmackDown like they've done with R-Truth. And that is Mark Henry sick and tired of being held down. Then we get a promo in the ring started out by R-Truth, then interrupted and continued with Christian, and then interrupted and continued with Miz. Now, both basically all went back and forth as to why they have legitimate gripes about capital punishment and about title aspirations. This, of course, brings out Teddy Long, which, in a way, you would have to agree with Michael Cole on this. Teddy Long is a SmackDown GM. Why was he there? Well, apparently, Teddy Long comes out and says, look, you guys want to prove yourselves? I've got just the idea. You three are going to team up, and you're going to face Riley, Randy, and Cena. In a 6-man tag, the decision for the stipulation will be up to the fans. So that ends that promo. Then we get our next match. A rematch for the United States title between Ziggler and Kingston. Stipulations basically are 2 out of 3 falls, Vicky banned from ringside, and a submission match. Well, I guess the fans are getting really used to Vicky and really like having her around, so they decide for 2 out of 3 falls. This, of course, in a way, is sort of a fan decision right here. But this also shows you that WWE is smart enough to realize, okay, we can't totally give ourselves away about being the ones truly controlling this. We need to give them something in return. We need to throw the fans a bone. So that's what they did. This was one of the bones they threw in their direction by saying, okay, you want 2 out of 3 falls? Let them have that. So it was a good, decent 2 out of 3 falls. First fall went to Ziggler. Second fall went to Kingston. And then third fall went to Kingston by disqualification, but Ziggler keeps the title. So that means they're still going to push this a little bit more and maybe do what they did with Ziggler on SmackDown, and perhaps do the same thing with Ziggler here on Raw that they did on SmackDown, push him a little bit as a mid-card champion, eventually getting him into that WWE title picture. Okay, up next we have the triple threat match for the #1 contendership to the WWE title. Winner to face John Cena at Money in the Bank. And they have and of course there's stipulations on this one. The first stipulation is falls count anywhere, no DQ is the second one, and submission is the third one. Falls count anywhere gets chosen. Fans like this one, so apparently the fans again were thrown another bone. Owned by WWE. So here we go. Falls count anywhere between Mysterio and Sin Cara. I mean, not Sin Cara, but Mysterio, Del Rio, and Punk. It really didn't seem like a falls count anywhere, but still. And it was a good triple threat match, good back and forth action. All three guys really went out there, gave their all. And in the end, CM Punk wins. Basically, Rey Mysterio hits his off the top rope finisher, his flying kind of bullet-like splash, but he then gets tossed off at Del Rio. Punk covers Del Rio, 1, 2, 3. Punk becomes the #1 contender. But then here is the twist of the night, the one that's going to get fans talking for the next few weeks. Punk goes on the mic and says he's finally going to reveal the honesty thing that he's been talking about. And basically saying that honesty's always gotten him in a little bit of trouble throughout his career. So the honesty thing he's talking about is that the day of the pay-per-view is also the last day of his contract with WWE, but he doesn't say WWE. For the second time in the past few weeks, the WWE actually allows somebody to say wrestling, and I thought they were supposed to ban the word. I guess WWE is finally realizing we can't really ban it, so what the hell? Basically, CM Punk comes out and says, says his contract with the company is up that night, and come midnight, when the 17th becomes the 18th and Sunday goes into Monday, he will be done with the WWE, and he's going to make it and by doing so, he is going to make history by becoming the first ever released superstar, or former, when that time comes, or ex-superstar of the WWE, to walk out of the company, to leave the company as champion and with the championship. So that's going to get people kind of talking now, because everybody's going to wonder, will WWE actually put the belt on Punk just to do that, or what will happen? We don't know. And I think it's the first time ever that we've had somebody on potentially the last match for the company wrestling for the top prize in that company. So that's really, really interesting. Next up, we have Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan in a no countout match. The stipulations voted were you could vote on were paper bag match, collegiate rules match, or no countout. Fans wanted no countout apparently, so this kind of tells me it was kind of maybe half and half, maybe on WWE's part and the fans' part. So whatever. Decent 3-minute match. I know some people don't like it. I thought it was decent. Daniel Bryan ends up winning, but then gets the hell beat out of him by Cody and Ted DiBiase, and gets the paper bag treatment. Next up, we have a dance contest between Vicky Guerrero and whoever the fans choose out of the announcers table, either Booker, Michael Cole, or Jerry Lawler. Vicky, she does a decent job. I think she did pretty good. You know, I mean, Vicky kind of showed that she can really do the sensual moves as she could, and seduction and sensual moves, but that's just me. And then her opponent gets selected, and obviously this obviously shows you this is WWE's doing. Michael Cole gets chosen. That's right, not that the fans didn't like it, but Michael Cole gets chosen. So he goes in there, tries to be a dancing fool, dancing all over the place. And I guess thanks to the loudest boos, he ends up winning the contest. Vicky doesn't like, and basically slaps him in the face. And you know what this tells me? It tells me exactly what I mentioned earlier. The fans are warming up to Vicky Guerrero. They're not totally hating her as much. I mean, true, they'll still boo her when she says excuse me, but the thing is, I think they're warming up to this woman. I think they really are. Call me crazy, but I think they are. I mean, this is basically an example of what I talked about a couple of weeks ago. If you were to put Vicky in a match of somewhat against Michael Cole, fans would boo her less than they would boo him. Okay, up next is the 6-man tag team match. On one side again you have Orton, Cena, and Riley. On the other you have Christian, Miz, and R-Truth. And the stipulations for the match were elimination, one fall to a finish, or 20-minute time limit. Well, Apparently this also was another bone thrown, I guess, the fans' way, and they get elimination because they cheered really loud when this got selected, so fans got what they wanted there. So that was another bone thrown WWE's way. So, I mean, not WWE's way, but the fans' way. So it kind of looks like they threw about 3, maybe 3.5 bones, that, you know, on Viewer's Choice. And it was a decent 6-man tag, very good 6-man tag main event, back and forth. Riley's the first eliminated thanks to Miz interfering when the referee's back is turned. Then Miz gets eliminated by John Cena when John Cena looks like he should tag out to Orton. Then R-Truth gets eliminated by Orton. Christian eliminates R-Truth with a spear. I mean, not R-Truth, but Christian eliminates Randy Orton with a spear. Then Cena eliminates Christian thanks to a little bit of help from the eliminated Randy Orton, who's still in the ring. And thus Cena, Orton, and Riley win the match, and they end the show with Orton, with, I guess you could say, the company's golden boys, the showcase boys, if you will, the faces of the company holding up the belts. So overall, I have to say this was a decent Monday Night Raw. I will say that. I will give it that. It was a decent Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, because to me it was. I have to say it was decent. I'll give it maybe an A-. I know it's a little high to some people, but I thought it was decent. The only reason I say it's an A- and short from being an A or an A+, is because WWE did show that they took control of some of the voting. So A-, B, if you will. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Hopefully next week with Raw Roulette and Shawn Michaels being the special guest, they'll do better. So, but that's my thoughts on Raw. Tell me what you guys think. Do you agree with it? And I'll talk to you all later.